Comparison has always existed from the start of human existence, but it's become ever more prevalent with the rise of social media. You see on social media people who are healthy, have great physiques, are very attractive. People also wanted that, and so hence came forth looks maxing. You see people on social media that seem to speak so well and are interesting, have a personality. People wanted to improve that as well, and so then came social maxing and personality maxing. And although it's up for debate, I think that comparison and all of the above are extremely good things. Why? Because you're doing things to maximize your potential. You're not trying to become like someone else. You're trying to apply those good values that everyone should strive for in your own way, in your own life. And the thing is, the same thing can be done for students. You might be this kind of student, but you want to be this kind of student, right? There's nothing to worry about and there's nothing to fear, because that actually can be you. Academic weapon maxing, whatever you want to call it, study maxing, student maxing. You too can do certain things, start certain habits that are proven to work that will help you become an academic weapon. From how to study to acing exams to mastering motivation, procrastination, mindsets, and powerful tricks, you too can become a top student that you've always wanted to be, and stick around because you don't want to miss a single one. And before we get into any of the juicy parts, we have to get into the brutal truth. And this might hurt a little, but it's necessary, so please don't hate me. You say that you want to become a better student, but you're always just making the wrong decisions. You literally bed rot days away. Your screen time is in the double digits, and you have the audacity to say that you don't have this time to study. There are literally people in the world who do anything for a chance of education, but they can't because of their circumstances. And you're lucky enough to have an education, but you're not even trying that hard in school. And that wouldn't be a problem. Not everyone has to be great at academics, right? But it's literally your ambition. Your YouTube recommended is literally full of study tips and self-improvement videos, because you want more for yourself. You don't want to walk the path that everyone else does. You want to make it, right? You want to get a good job that makes you feel fulfilled. You want to live life so that you can live comfortably and you can afford to live a life that you want. Then cut the BS when you say you don't have time to study and just complaining that you're always an average student, because it's all just a consequence of your actions. But the good thing is that all stops today. Change only happens when you stop blaming others and you start to look inwards. It's not your maths teacher who is bad at teaching, or the fact that you live far from school, or any of these things that are the reason you're a bad student. It's literally you versus you. The number one step of having a glow up is realizing that it's actually your unhealthy habits. The fact that you don't go to the gym, or all of these things, the fact that you've never invested in yourself properly is the reason that you're not where you want to be. Sure, genetics and things do play a role, but remember, this is maximizing your potential, and so you need to view it the same way for your studies. And so it's all up to you. And if you're still here, let's start with the first chapter. Learn how to study right. I hope my little speech made you somewhat feel motivated, but the thing is, that's all pointless, because right now you might be motivated to go and study, but you're actually studying the wrong way. And studying wrong is just as much as a waste of time as not studying at all. And so many students study wrong. From now on, just think of studying as filling up gaps in your knowledge. When you learn a concept in class, you gain knowledge points for each little subtopic you've just learned. So, in a very basic example, imagine you just had math class and you learned algebra. You might have a 10 out of 10 understanding in adding terms, a 7 out of 10 understanding in factorizing, but 3 out of 10 for solving algebraic equations, for example. Then, all studying is when your teacher says you have an algebra test in 2 weeks' time, is you're trying to get all 3 to a 10 out of 10 understanding, because if it's a 10 out of 10, that's 100%, and you're going to get 100% right in those topics. So obviously, if studying 2 hours will get you 5 extra marbles, you want to study those 2 hours around solving equations, right? Because then that 3 out of 10 will become an 8 out of 10. But if you look at the most popular study methods, and science shows that it's literally the most popular study methods are rereading notes, rereading the textbook, all you're doing is adding 1 marble to everything. It's a passive form of revision, and it's not specific at all. And so although your adding becomes 11 out of 10, factorizing becomes a 7 out of 10, your solving is still a 4 out of 10. So it doesn't matter if you have an 11 out of 10 there, because you're going to get 100% in that area anyway. Your weakness still remains a weakness. Studying should be specific. I'll say that again. Studying should be specific and targeting your weakness. But that's not all. The way you target your weakness is also very important. The longer studying takes, obviously you're going to have less time to do other things that you enjoy and like. But the mental side is also very important, and top students all know this. The longer studying takes, the more likely you are to not want to do it again in the future, because your brain associates task studying as something that's long and tedious. And if it's long and tedious and you didn't like it, your brain's going to do everything in its power to make you not want to do that thing again. That's why procrastination happens. And so if you learn how to study efficiently and quickly, you're going to reduce procrastination and a lack of motivation. So here are the 3 ways to efficiently target your weaknesses. And you should use these for your weaknesses, as we've literally just been talking about for the past 3 minutes, or topics that will be heavily tested in your exams. These are the only 2 areas you should ever look at when studying. So you have to do these 3 things in this order: past papers, flashcards, and Feynman. You can find past papers by searching up your exam board, your subjects plus past paper. For example, IGCSE biology past papers, and they'll come up. All they are a past series year of exams. If you think about it, it's a goldmine. But since number one, you're actively doing questions and you're actually testing your knowledge. Number two, you're able to make mistakes and see where your weaknesses are. And studies show that when you make weaknesses and you review them, that's when you learn the most. And number three, you learn the timing and structure of the exams. So it's just going to feel like you've done it before. And number four, you're able to see like which topics are more heavily tested in the exam. And number five, you're able to use the mark schemes of the past papers to see what the examiner's like and actually just look at the mark scheme. It's literally a cheat code. And so once you do your past papers and you know your weaknesses, because like the stuff you got wrong, put the question and the model answer of the question you got wrong on a flashcard. And suddenly you have a set of questions that if you revise off of, you can turn your weaknesses into strengths. And lastly, use the Feynman technique to explain these weaknesses. The Feynman technique just means explaining what you learn in your own words to someone else. And you can really know if something became your strength. If you're able to like explain it to someone else and make it coherent, that's when you know it well. If you're shy and you don't want to explain to someone else, you can record yourself and that's all fine. Or you can literally just say it out loud. But you're going to notice a lot of the time that you're going to like end up stumbling over your words and actually like realize you don't know the thing as well as you thought you did. And so learning these three things are going to help you become the best student that you can be. That's all you need, since it covers all three pillars of revision: testing, reviewing, and knowledge evaluation. And so you're a master at studying, but that's not all. No. We want our academic weapon max in all regards, right? And although now we know how to study, habits will make or break your academic weapon maxing journey. We're going to talk about how to make good habits so that you can use what you just learned consistently, like the 3 musketeers of studying, right? But we're going to have to start with the more important ones, which are the bad habits. You can do and have all the good habits in the world, but if you let your bad habits stay, it's like constantly having a hole in the bottom of your ship and letting in water. You have to patch up the holes first. What are the worst bad habits that stop students from becoming top students? The first one is letting distractions stop you from studying. This can be in the form of many different ways: your phone, YouTube, social media, etc, etc. But if you don't cut out distractions, or at the very least, don't stop them from disrupting your study sessions, you won't get far. Don't have your phone anywhere near you when you're studying, and install Screen Zen on your phone and unhook on your computer. Easy. The second bad habit that students do is not sleeping enough. You probably think the way studying works is if you study like 3 hours, that's like 3 hours worth of knowledge that you like get implanted into your brain because you study. But the National Institute of Health has something different to say. Getting a full night of sleep within 24 hours of learning is crucially important because it strengthens new memories and builds connections between different pieces of information. And yes, it's what you think it means. It's during sleep that you end up forming new knowledge and actually learning. And so the way I always like to think of it is like a save button. In video games, when you grind, you have to press the save button for that progress to be saved, right? When you study as a student, if you don't get a good night's of sleep, all that studying you did that day will be useless. So then now let's move on to the good habits that you can do. Start studying little but often. The 3 musketeers of studying, right? Remember them? They're really efficient, so they're not going to take up a lot of time. And so just make it a habit to do little but often each day. Learn how to study without studying. Students always say like, I have no time to study, but you have to make time. While you're on public transport, do flashcards. I talked about this in this video, but learn how to do immersion studying. Just test yourself concepts throughout the day. Do active recall and test your knowledge. Instead of scrolling all the time, just think back to like what you were learning like in the lesson previously or the past paper question you got wrong, and just test yourself constantly. It's when your brain is quiet and it's not stimulated that you start to make these connections and you learn the most. Another good habit you can do is studying first thing in the morning. When you study first thing in the morning, that's when your brain is the most awake and you're most prone to knowledge absorption. So if you make it a habit to literally just wake up and do 10 minutes of studying each day, like before you go to school, you review like the concept that was the most difficult, you do a couple of past paper questions. That 10 minutes every single day that you do consistently is going to stack up. This is called the compound effect. So make that a habit. And another good habit you can do is to just immerse yourself as much as you can with helpful content. You get influenced so much more around like what you consume than you realize. Instead of like watching TikTok and Instagram, start watching more long form videos, podcasts, books, YouTube videos, but make sure you're watching YouTube videos that actually do help you. An easy rule of thumb that I like to follow is the person whose video you're watching, do you want to become like them? If the answer is yes, you should watch them. And so maybe watch more of my videos, please. Or like just any other self-help YouTuber, or like study tips, or like anything that will help you improve your life, right? Don't waste your time with things that are meaningless and you don't even care about. And lastly, the 2 M's were arguably the most important: motivation and mindset. No one can really motivate you but yourself. I've tried to think of like an objective, one-size-fits-all way to be motivated. And although there are some ways to like improve motivation, such as like studying little but often, having like a clear goal inside, like doing it for like your parents or like having like a clear intrinsic goal. At the end of the day, it's you that decides if you want to be motivated, right? And the only thing I'll say is this, and this helped me a lot, is to realize that life is just a series of choices. If you make the tough choice right now to study, to after you watch this video, to like do that homework that's standing on your desk, might be tough right now, but it will pay off. Making that choice to like study instead of playing video games could translate you into getting one more mark in the test in 2 years time, and that makes so you make the cutoff for the interview and you make like the job you always wanted, all because of that one choice. Start practicing making good choices for yourself. It's like a lot of people don't realize that you in 3 years time is still going to be you. Invest in yourself. Doing the fun thing right now to make your life worse in the future is literally just a form of self-harm. Make the hard choice now since to benefit your future self. You're young and you should enjoy that. But you have to realize that every time passes, you're missing out on the best time to set yourself up for success. Be proud of yourself and don't expect every single day to be perfect. I still have days where I suck, where I procrastinate, where I make the wrong choices, but it's all about the bigger picture and it's about a total net of making better decisions than wrong choices. You're going to be a lifelong student, right? You're going to be constantly improving. And so there's not that much of a rush. That's the mindset to have to stay motivated and to have a more positive outlook on being a student. And also just some extra notes that I had that also like tie in with all of this is to not eat carbs and sugar before exams and just not in general. Remember, it's all about your choices and habits. So why not making a habit to watch my videos more constantly? And I promise to you that I'm real and genuine and you'll find a lot of value from me. I'm proud of you for watching this far. And remember to take action in what you learned today. There was a lot of information. But as always, take action and I'll see you in the next one. And by the way, quickly, just before you go away, if you found what I said useful and it made sense, you might want to check out the Student Accelerator, where it's basically like this times 10. There, I have a plethora of like video guides, live lectures from experts, personalized videos for you, and a like-minded community of ambitious students that all want the same goal of just maximizing their potential as students. And if this sounds like something you want to be a part of, check out the first link in the description where you can find out more about the Student Accelerator program, because I'm sure you'll love it. But anyway, I'll see you in the next one.